What's up everyone, Lily's here. Today I'm going to use this chart to show you how to describe a chart when the categories on the x-axis are age groups. Hopefully, you can use what you will learn in this video to describe other age group charts like this one. Now, let's read the chart together. The bar chart below shows the percentage of Australian men and women in different age groups who did regular physical activity in 2010. I want to start with details paragraph 1 because I have some crucial information to share with you guys. So, if the categories on the x-axis are age groups, then we need to describe trends. We need to say something like women's participation increased with increasing age. I know some people think there is no trend. They think these are different people in different age groups. These are not the same individuals, so there is no trend. Yes, these are different individuals, but we still need to show trends. Take, for example, this chart. As you can see, these are different people in different age groups. Look at what the examiner says about a report written by a candidate that scored an 8. The examiner says, clear trends are identified. So yes, we need to describe trends when the categories on the x-axis are age groups. There are also people who doubt the use of increasing age. They think it means the same individuals are aging or getting older. Of course, it can mean that, but it can also mean that if you arrange all the females surveyed into age order, then the percentage of them who took regular exercise increased as the age category increases. So now we know we need to describe trends, and we can use increasing age when describing trends. Let's start with women. I don't think it's a good idea to mix men and women in the same paragraph. Your essay will be much easier to read if you separate men and women into two different paragraphs. But this doesn't mean we don't make comparisons. So in details paragraph 1, we simply describe women. And in details paragraph 2, we describe men, but we also compare men to women when necessary. Alright, let's start with women. I will simply say that women's participation increased and then decreased. I will also add these 3 numbers. The most important numbers are those at the beginning and end of the period and the largest number within it. So we definitely need to add these 3 numbers. 47.7% of women in the youngest age bracket took regular exercise. Their participation then went up steadily with increasing age, reaching its peak in the 45 to 54 age group at 53.3%. Above that, it started to drop, with only 47.1% of those in the oldest age group exercising regularly. There are several expressions in this paragraph that I want to talk about. Firstly, we can use age bracket to avoid repeating age group. We can say women in the youngest age bracket, or women in the 15 to 24 age bracket, or women aged 15 to 24. But you need to be careful with your choices of prepositions. If you use age group or age bracket, then the preposition you need is in an age group, or in an age bracket. However, if you use something like women aged 15 to 24 or those aged 15 to 24, then you can use either in or among, but really among is better. Reaching its peak in the 45 to 54 age group, but among those aged 45 to 54. Secondly, pay attention to the expression with increasing age. I've already explained why it can be used here. I'm not going to repeat myself. Thirdly, pay attention to the use of above that. Above can be used with ages. For example, anyone above the age of 18 is allowed to become a member of our club. Here, above that would be short for above that age. This paragraph is done very simple. All I did was describe the trends and add a few important numbers. Now let's move on to details paragraph 2, in which I will describe the trends of men's participation and also compare men's participation to that of women. So where should we make comparisons? I think the youngest age group is pretty important. First of all, it's where men had the highest participation rate. Secondly, it's also the only age group where men had a higher participation rate than women. So I will make two comparisons here. Male participation was higher in the youngest age group at 52.8% than in any other. Here, we don't need to repeat age group. We don't need to say any other age group. Any other is clear enough. Also, better put the number here, not at the end of the sentence, because this number is modifying the youngest age group, not the other age groups. This was also the only age group in which there was a higher percentage of males than females taking regular exercise. This is a comparison to women. Next, I will simply describe the trends and include the lowest percentage as well as the percentage at the end of the period. Men's participation rate then fell to its lowest level among 35 to 44-year-olds at 39.5%, before climbing to 46.7% among the over 65s. Pay attention to the expression 35 to 44-year-olds. Let me add it here for you guys. So in this expression, old isn't an adjective, but a noun, meaning a person of a specified age. For example, a 3-year-old. We need to make it plural because we are talking about people in an age group, not just one person. Also, note it's best to use the preposition among with it. I explained earlier in the video that among is the best preposition to use with people, like among those aged 35 to 44 or among 35 to 44-year-olds, whereas in is used with an age group. And the over 65s is another expression we can use to vary our language. I asked several native speakers. They all said that this phrase includes those who are 65 years old. Finally, I will add this sentence to compare men and women in the oldest age group because their numbers are almost the same. This rate was very close to that of females in the same age bracket. This paragraph is also done. Now let's move on to the overview paragraph, which will be the second paragraph of our essay. Normally, if a graph shows trends, we simply summarize the general trends in the overview. However, there isn't much change in this chart. The numbers didn't decrease much by the end of the period. They didn't remain unchanged. They didn't fluctuate widely either. In this case, better not summarize the general trends. We need to be flexible. Ask yourself, what are the biggest differences between men's participation rate and that of women? They peaked in different age groups, didn't they? Overall, while women's participation was highest in the 45 to 54 age bracket, that of men peaked among 15 to 24-year-olds. Note that here we need to use highest, not the highest. We tend to use highest without a definite article when we compare something with itself in different circumstances. That is to say, we don't use the definite article when we are comparing the same thing. For example, we say, he's the happiest person in the world. Here, the definite article is necessary because he's comparing himself to other people. Compared to other people, he's the happiest person in the world. But we say he's happiest when he's alone. The definite article is not needed here because he's comparing himself to himself. He's happier when he's alone than when he's with other people. He's comparing the same thing, which is himself. That's why the definite article is not needed. In the overview, we should use highest without a definite article because we are comparing the same thing, which is women's participation. We are comparing women's participation in the 45 to 54 age group to women's participation in the other age groups. Another big difference between men and women is that a higher percentage of women than men exercised regularly throughout all age bands except the youngest. The overview paragraph is also done. Finally, let's finish the introductory paragraph, which will be a paraphrase of the original text. Let me tell you, even though the original uses the singular percentage, we can actually change it to the plural percentages because there are two variables in the chart. One is the percentage of men who did regular physical activity. The other is the percentage of women who did it. The bar chart displays the percentages of males and females in Australia in different age brackets who exercised regularly in 2010. The original uses men and women. I changed it to males and females. The original uses age groups. I changed it to age brackets. Also note how I used a different word form to paraphrase this part. The original uses the adjective regular. I instead used the adverb regularly, exercised regularly. Alright, here's the entire essay. And here are some key takeaways. 1. If the categories on the x-axis are age groups, then we need to describe trends. 2. We can use with increasing age when describing trends. The percentage went up with increasing age. 3. We can use above that, which means above that age, as linking words. The percentage reached its peak in the 45 to 54 age group. Above that, it started to drop. 4. When it comes to age groups, we can use these expressions to vary our language. But be careful that it's best to use in with an age group, but among with people. The percentage picked in the 15 to 24 age group or among 15 to 24-year-olds. Now, do you feel more confident when dealing with age groups? Try to follow these guidelines when writing a report for these charts. After you are done, you can go to my website and read a sample essay there. The link will be in the description. That's all for today. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up because it really helps my channel grow. And consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Bye!